So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. My name is Anne-Marie Meadowake. I am the host of CTV's national morning show called Your Morning. This is also my fifth year, I think, Erin, we decided, fourth or fifth year of hosting this event, and I'm thrilled to be back. It is one of my favorites that I do all year long, mostly because I'm a storyteller and I like stories, and there are incredible stories that we're going to share with you today, and our panelists that you'll get to meet. So before we get started, I want to remind everybody that this is being recorded, and also if I could get
everyone and welcome. We're going to get started momentarily. We're just going to get another.
If I could get everybody to put their line on mute, would be great. Awesome. I wanted, before we get started into our program, I want to acknowledge the Indigenous people of the lands that we are on today. While this is a virtual platform and it's bringing people together from all across Turtle Island, the RISE head office is in Toronto. That's the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat peoples, and which is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. And we acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. RISE is an organization that some of you are familiar with, some of you are just getting to know, and I'll give you a brief outline if you're just getting to know us. Unique in Canada, it's dedicated to empowering individuals with mental health and addictions challenges through their journey of entrepreneurship. Through low interest loans, no cost training programs, mentorship, and other supports, RISE helps people develop the skills to access the capital that they need and connect it to their vision and to their passion, one that accommodates their needs, improves their quality of life, enables them to better support themselves and to support the people who support them, which is their families. A quick couple of notes for people who couldn't attend or would like to watch it back. We will be up on the RISE YouTube channel in the next coming days. And for those of you on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, which I'm sure you all are, I would love to encourage you to be part of the conversation today. Let us know your impressions of the event, take some pictures, tag @RISEHelps. Soon we're going to hear from both the chair of the board and the CEO of RISE. The awards will then be announced. We'll tell you a little bit about each of the recipients, and then we'll get to my favorite part, which is our moderated panel, and we'll hear from our award winners. If you have any questions along the way, you can please send them through to the chat. We will get through to them as many as we can today, but we'll kick things off today by introducing the board chair, Lori Spadorcha.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. It's so great to have you back again this year. This is also one of my favorite events of the year. On behalf of the RISE Board of Directors, it's my honor to welcome all of you to our 14th annual awards ceremony. In recent years, RISE has experienced both unprecedented program demand and unprecedented success. In our last fiscal year, RISE received a record-breaking number of program applications. 1,200 individuals applied to the Small Business Lending Program. That's a 37% increase over the year before, and RISE responded. We exceeded our goal of disbursing more than 100 loans in a single year. We also implemented 76% more training sessions, which translates to more than 550 training hours delivered to clients, also in a single year. What's more, this remarkable growth continues. Just last month, we disbursed our 800th all-time loan. I'm incredibly proud of the fact that earlier this year, RISE launched its Women Plus Entrepreneurship Program. This is really groundbreaking work aimed at empowering diverse women, trans women, and non-binary individuals. The Women Plus program helps some of Canada's most underserved entrepreneurs learn the basics of building a business. It supports their mental health, champions their individual lived experiences, works to overcome systems of oppression, and does so with feminist ideals at its core. Thanks to the $1.42 million grant from the Government of Canada through the Women's Entrepreneurship Strategy, the Women Plus Entrepreneurship Program is also our first bilingual program. All of this expansion and growth is made possible by the incredible community I see on the screen here today. Whether you are a client, a volunteer, a staff member, a partner, a donor, I want to thank you all for supporting RISE. You are the heart of this organization and the engine that drives it forward. And I am so grateful to be a part of such a visionary, caring, and inspiring community. It's now my pleasure to hand things over to our CEO, Lori Smith.
Hi, everybody. I'm actually kind of distracted. I'm scrolling through to see who's here. And there's a lot of people here. I haven't seen their faces in so long. So like Vern is here and Dave Reed is here, like some of our business advisor alumni and some of our staff alumni. And it's just amazing to see faces I haven't seen in so long and names on my screen I haven't seen in so long. So really want to thank everyone for joining us today, and it's a great turnout. As Lori has said, we've really grown significantly in recent years, both in the breadth and the depth of our programs and the number of people that we're now engaging all across Canada. But I actually think what makes the growth so meaningful is the impact that flows from that. Some of you know that we recently did a survey and we found that 4 out of 5 RISE clients are still in business after receiving their RISE loan, which is amazing. And that means our clients are building resilient, sustainable businesses. We also know that we have an impressive 88% repayment rate, that 1 out of 2 of our clients have improved their credit score. And that about 75% of our clients say that they feel more confident taking on new challenges because of RISE's support. And I actually just want to focus on that optimism for a minute, because I think we can all agree that the last few years have been very hard. We're experiencing an affordability crisis, a housing crisis, a climate crisis, and global conflict keeps escalating. But despite all of that, RISE clients still feel optimistic about the future. 70% of them say that they have more opportunities for personal and professional growth now than they did before the pandemic. And 1 in 2 of our clients really perceive greater opportunities for financial growth due to their work with RISE. So to me, to us, what matters the most is that every bit of effort we put in translates to truly tangible impact in people's lives. And I can't wait for you to meet some of our clients today, our incredible award recipients. You'll hear from them and you'll see that their businesses have really helped them create suitable work for themselves that have not only improved their quality of life, but really enabled them to make important contributions to their community. But before I pass things back to Anne-Marie, I will be the next person to thank her for emceeing today. It is her 5th consecutive year, and she is so masterful. Can't imagine anyone else emceeing this event. She's a delight to work with, and I'm honored that she keeps telling us that it's one of her favorites. So thank you so much, Anne-Marie. It would not be the same without you. Also, I'd like to recognize our sponsors, Bell Let's Talk and Scotiabank. And finally, I just want to thank everyone again on my screen, our clients and volunteers, donors, our partners, and all of our incredible staff. Our collective impact is made possible by everyone's individual contributions, and I'm truly grateful. So now back to Anne-Marie, and we get to the good stuff as part of this event. Thank you again.
Lori, thank you so much. And I will just say, I do it year after year because it's an hour of inspiration. And for those of you who've been here before, you absolutely know that. For anybody who's here for the first time, you're about to experience that because we're going to introduce you to our award winners. But honestly, I learn a lot from every conversation that we have. It makes me better at what I do. And like I said, it leaves me inspired. So we're going to get to it. So the Rotman Family Entrepreneurship Awards are given out every year. They come with a $1,000 prize, and we are also volunteering. We're also awarding the Volunteer of the Year today, as well as our Community Champion, and you'll meet both of those people as well. But first, our first award is the Rotman Family Entrepreneur of the Year, and that is awarded to James Summers-Gill. You can quietly applaud or applaud on your screen, whichever you like for James. On April the 1st, 2016, James was a victim of what he calls the worst April Fool's joke ever. While walking his daughter to school, he was randomly attacked. He was beaten within inches of his life. Doctors did not think he would survive, let alone go on to live a full life. But James has proved them very wrong. He is the founder and the CEO of Kendall Farms in Kelowna, BC. It's a company that is dedicated to developing advanced farming systems that can not only help solve agriculture's biggest challenges, but also produce safe and delicious sustainable foods. He's also a strong advocate for entrepreneurs with disabilities. He's hopeful that his story can inspire others and inspire change. You're going to love hearing from James a little bit later on. But for now, please join me in congratulating the 2023 Rotman Family Entrepreneur of the Year, James Summersgill. All the applause, James. Our next honor is the Dr. Paul Garfinkel Resilience Award, and that is awarded to Kendra Dion. Just months after landing her dream job as in-house counsel at a large insurance company, Kendall's life was changed by a distracted driver. She was rear-ended while she was driving her motorcycle. She suffered injuries that made going back to a traditional lawyer schedule next to impossible. So she realized that in order to keep practicing law, which she still loved and was passionate to do, she would have to make a new course, a la entrepreneurs. Kendra started her own firm. It's called KLD Law. It's focused on estate planning and Indigenous law. And today, she not only tailors her workload to meet her needs, but this part I love too, she tailors her legal services to meet the needs of her diverse clientele. Please join me in congratulating this year's Dr. Paul Garfinkel Resilience Award recipient, Kendra Dion. All right, this year's Bell Let's Talk Startup Award recipient is the guy with the space background, Sylvain Roland. A chef by trade, Sylvain has long been concerned with the inefficiency and inequity of our food systems. That's something we're hearing a lot about this year. It was a global supply chain breakdown during the pandemic that spurred him to start a solutions-focused business. First, he opened a small tasting room supplied by the bounty of his backyard in Tofino, BC. However, when a long-standing battle with substance abuse railed his plans, Sylvain relocated to Port Alberni, where he found some new inspiration. Today, he is the founder of Westco Food Society. It's a multifaceted enterprise that connects local farmers and food producers with residents and neighboring towns. They create a sustainable community food system. It's amazing. Please join me in congratulating the 2023 Bell Let's Talk Startup Award recipient, Sylvain Roland. Congratulations. All right, now we get to celebrate one of our incredible volunteers who makes Rise's work possible. The Scotiabank Volunteer of the Year Award belongs to someone whose dedication to Rise's mission and their contributions to individual client success is the definition of exemplary service. Glory Averbach embodies that description. As an entrepreneur with more than 25 years experience building tech startups, she's also the co-founder and lead coach at My CEO, a coaching and consulting firm for entrepreneurs based on Vancouver Island. Glory first joined Rise to mentor a lending client, somebody she supported with compassion and advice as they built not one, but now two businesses. Today, she also shares her expertise with clients and alumni via the Rise Community online platform, a truly dedicated volunteer. Please join me in congratulating the 2023 Scotiabank Volunteer of the Year, Glory Averbach. Thank you, Glory. And finally, of our recipients today, I am pleased to present the Dave Richardson Champion Award, introduced last year, and this honors a community member who is absolutely committed to advancing Rise's mission through various means like advocacy, volunteering, and other contributions. And today that honor goes to Tia Upshaw. Hey, peace. 10 years ago, with a criminal record and 3 kids to support, Tia started a business to take control of her employment. Now an experienced entrepreneur, she is a vocal advocate for a more inclusive entrepreneurial ecosystem here in Canada. She has co-founded BLK Black Women in Excellence, a nonprofit dedicated to empowering Black women entrepreneurs, and is an active Rise volunteer. Tia advises university business programs to help cultivate a new generation of entrepreneurs who prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion. So important. So please join me in congratulating Tia Upshaw. She is the recipient of the 2023 Dave Richardson Champion Award. Congratulations to you. All right, this is, I think, everybody's favorite part where we get to discuss and to meet all of our award recipients, learn a little bit more about their stories and how Rise has helped them out. I'm going to ask a series of questions. We're going to go between each of the panelists and I will address you so you know who I'm speaking to. If anybody in the audience has a question, please send it via the chat. We're going to keep track of as many of them as we can and they will send them along to me. We will endeavor to be wrapped up by 2:00. And I should say that this panel is a very active and engaged panel. We went half an hour over our time earlier last week when we were chatting because everybody was so invested and I loved that conversation. But we will be up by 2:00 today, Erin, do not worry. I want to begin by bringing in James and Sylvain. Both of you have started businesses that focus on food. We've talked a lot about food in this country in this last year. Expensive food, how it's difficult to get, to the hands of people who need it. James, when you were attacked back in 2016, you had life-altering injuries, including significant memory loss. And you say that when you came home from the hospital, you were drawn to what you call, I love this, wonderful yellow tubes with green stuff that was out on your deck, which then turned out to be a hydroponic farm. So in the years since, you have had to relearn what you knew about hydroponic farming and then some, which is just incredible to me. Then in 2021, you start Kendall Farms, using advanced farming systems to produce local food more efficiently. Tell us about the vision for Kendall Farms and how entrepreneurship has helped you to overcome some of the challenges that you faced.
James, you're on mute.
I was trying to scroll to you to let you know.
Go on. Yeah, hold on.
Got you now, James. Go ahead.
There we go. I got smart and I wrote everything down from our last interviews. At Kendall Farms, we're working to aid in the desperate need for food security around the world and to meet the UN Sustainable Development Goals. We are growing real food like strawberries, greens, micros, proteins, and seafood in a vertical system where else that has the ability to grow anywhere and anything in Canada first. We take our planet's health very seriously, and it is our goal to collaborate with other like-minded Canadian companies to do good, to assist help organizations, to build a food network across our nation, and to help replenish our soils and share our technology globally.
Thanks, James. And how has Rise helped you in some of the challenges that you faced in starting Kendall Farms?
Well, Rise has provided me an opportunity to build my career that works around my mental challenges and my disability. It has provided me an opportunity to be able to give back the gift that I've been able to be here for my kiddo, and to have a purpose for my life, and to aspire to give hope to other disabled people to step forward and reach out to their dreams that they never knew that they existed.
We see that so much in your story, James. Thank you so much. Sylvain, I want to bring you in. You are also in the food space. You are a chef, as we said, by trade, and your business turned nonprofit has gone from concern with how dependent we've become on big box stores for food and global supply chains. You started Westco Food Society. You're running a seasonal storefront, an online store, a farmer's market. You've got a lot on your plate and you're doing a lot. Tell us a little bit more about the motivation behind Westco Food Society and how your personal and professional experiences have helped shape some of the different aspects of the needs that you're meeting with it.
Yes, for sure. So, when I started this, I came from a big culinary background across Canada, and also a cinema background where research was embedded in me at a young age. So when I was researching the Canada food industry and where food came from, especially in Canada, a lot of it is being imported by different countries. And during COVID, we saw a big effect. Food not being able to go where it was supposed to, and that's what really launched me, and all that inner fire that was inside me, wanting to create something that was sustainable and local in the food industry became my mission. So knowing the island for what it was, I saw a lot of beneficial factors that could make that happen. So local farms, a local food system on the rise, and opportunities that weren't there a few years ago. So I started Westco Food Society because I'm in a part of a region on Vancouver Island where food is a rarity and there is a lot of poverty, especially with the prices rising with local chains. I knew I could do something because I have access as a professional with the actual prices of food. So I knew that local is actually more affordable now than what's coming from abroad. So, you know, it was a no-brainer to create something that is a localized food system. And that's what Wesco Food is about. And our main mission is basically to have all communities we operate in to be able to sustainably nourish themselves equally by providing accessibility to local produced food and food development opportunities.
Sylvain, thank you. Kendra, I want to bring you in. You're in a totally different line of work. You are a lawyer who started your own firm out of necessity after injuries from that terrible accident that we described. You were unable to maintain a traditional legal career, at least within a big firm. So you started your own KLD Law. And I don't think people typically equate being a lawyer with being an entrepreneur. If you're like me, you watch The Good Wife, you think it's all a bit of a big firm in Chicago, but there you are in your law office right now. So how did being able to go out on your own sort of redefine your legal career and make it possible for you to practice law?
Well, it was a challenge, right? I tried to go back to my old job twice, and twice it didn't succeed, and they just didn't understand. They either weren't willing or weren't able to understand what I needed to accommodate my disability. And some of those things were very simple. And so, you know, I was off for 5 years. And during that time, I was in a building that was populated largely by 55 plus group. And I spent my days with them in chair yoga and water aerobics and doing my rehab with them, and they became my friends. And so I knew that wills and estates was a very different area of law, and that it was transactional because insurance litigation is very stressful. And I went from working in the field to living it. And I just could not go back to that. And so I wanted something that I could do at my own pace. And then the second side of my business happened out of a fluke. I met someone, a very senior lawyer, who understood my situation and took me under her wing. And I'm working with 2 other sole practitioners in the Indigenous law side that we get through a meeting and they say, okay, it's time to rest. So there's none of this stress and pressure to go, go, go. And so I can build it at my own pace, something I couldn't do for a big corporation.
What kind of difference has it made for you to be able to do that?
The flexibility, like it was very simple things that they just couldn't understand. So for instance, you know, my OT would say, Kendra needs to wear sunglasses. And they're like, oh, you can't wear sunglasses at court. You know, Kendra can't stand for long periods of time because of pain. And, oh, well, you have to stand up when you go to court. And I'm like, you wouldn't do that for someone in a wheelchair. And the worst one was that they actually had a mindfulness and meditation room in our building. And my doctor said she needs to take mind breaks. And no one had a key to the room. And so there was no way to use it.
But there was no way to access it.
Yeah, the top managers had no key to the room. And so now I have this great room with natural light. I have assisted technology and all of the things that I need to be able to do my job.
I love that. Gloria and Tia, I want to chat with you next. Gloria, you are an accomplished entrepreneur. You've built multiple businesses. You benefit greatly from mentors in your own life and career. So we want to hear about that. But tell us why you chose to volunteer with RISE and the importance of mentorship in an entrepreneur's journey.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So as you pointed out, I've always known and sought out the power of mentorship. I think there's great benefit to the power of outside perspective, to have somebody around you that can be your champion and your ally and your sounding board and help you to move forward. I got to RISE via a relationship through Community Futures. And when my client went from Community Futures to RISE for their first microloan, starting their first business, I was asked to mentor during that time. And it was just a very, very easy yes for me to do that. I am hugely passionate about entrepreneurship. I understand the journey really well because I've lived it for 30 years. And I know the ups and downs of it. So that having that other person in your life that is sort of that one step removed, but still really cares is really, really important. And I am, as I said, super passionate about entrepreneurship and believe have always believed that it's so much cooler to build your own dream than to build somebody else's. So when I sold my companies in 2016, I decided that this chapter was going to be about paying it forward and giving it back and mentoring in whatever space that I could find where people needed the help. I was thrilled to find Rise. I am so passionate about what the work that they do. The team is fabulous, and I couldn't be more honored or overjoyed to be here today.
Gloria, I love that when you said you want to build your own dream rather than someone else's, and you're talking to a screen full of entrepreneurs when all I see is heads nodding up and down like this. Tia, I want to see Tia's doing it right now. Tia, you are also a very accomplished entrepreneur. You've built several businesses and a nonprofit organization, but your path has not been a traditional one. We touched on that earlier. You've been in conflict with the law. You've had the kind of finances that can disqualify people from traditional supports. You experience mental health challenges. And as a Black woman, you are not the person whose Canada's entrepreneurial ecosystem is designed to benefit. And I want to hear more from you on that. So it makes sense that you are also a vocal advocate for dismantling and rebuilding the system. Tell us what needs to change and how Rise is helping to rewrite the definition of entrepreneur with your help.
Well, thank you for that question. It's like one question with three questions all rolled up in one. And we don't have the time for all of that today. But I will say that the ecosystem needs to be dismantled. The entrepreneurship ecosystem in Canada is not built for individuals from diverse backgrounds with mental health issues, other barriers, cultural differences. It's just not. If you're not, sorry guys, if you're not a white man, it is not built for you. And I find with Rise and what attracted me to Rise and what keeps me wanting to be a part of Rise through being on their LRC committee and an advocate mentor through their mentorship program is they're intentional. And that's a word that I'm not able to throw around often when I'm working with organizations. Rise is intentional about creating that change and creating landscapes that, you know, we all feel welcomed and encouraged, empowered, and inspired to start our businesses, scale our businesses, and they provide the resources without even looking to see who looks like what or who's from where or what type of barriers they have. Rise jumps in all the time. When I first reached out to Rise, it was a friend, not a colleague, a friend of mine, Missy Searle, said, you know what, you would do well with Rise to be on their LRC committee. And I was like, okay, I reached out to Nick. And from there, I've been absolutely in awe. Every part of Rise is something that should have been around when I started my business in 2013. Because when I started, there was no one for me, no Black organizations, no women-ran organizations, because I did not fit into the mold. And if Rise was there then, and if I knew about Rise, I probably would have had 10 businesses by now, to be quite honest, not just the 4 in the organization. So yes, I am all about Rise, and I will advocate, and I will push their mission and vision and values through Canada on a daily basis.
I'm going to follow up on one of my questions, Tia, that I had asked you, which is what needs to change in the ecosystem? What have you experienced that you can share with us?
Quickly or long?
Quickly.
Quick. Okay, quick. Let's dismantle it. But I find that, you know, government, financial institutions, the culture that is embedded within their organizations and their cultural schemes within their practices are from a colonialist mindset. There is unconscious biases, conscious biases, racism and discrimination that is embedded. And until the head of all these organizations, financial institutions, government, actually be intentional about creating diversity, equity, and inclusion, nothing's going to change. So that's what I need to change, but we have to get to the head of the snake first to make them understand we're not just out here checking boxes anymore. They need to be intentional.
Tia, thank you. On the topic of change, I want to bring James in. Let's talk about advocacy. James, we had a great discussion last week around this issue, and I'm looking forward to you sharing more of it with our audience that's here from across the country. You're an advocate for entrepreneurs with disabilities. So what kind of challenges did you face, if you could share some of that with us here? And also, what supports did you find at Rise that have specifically helped to move your business forward? And James, don't forget your mute button.
Sorry, I may need you to repeat that.
Sure, no problem at all. We're going to talk about advocacy, and I want to touch
Mhm.
back on our conversation that we had last week. If you could let everybody know, what are some of the challenges that entrepreneurs with disabilities are facing right now, and how did RISE help you specifically?
Oh, wow. I think that, well, right now, a lot of the challenges that we face is that we're not recognized as contributing members of society. Once a disability happens, where else our living is instantly slashed, and we face many struggles where else that we cannot get rid of. They're there forever. We no longer have a means or else to get anything more than our basic personal care, and I mean basic. And then we're constantly told that there's a system that is designed for us not to get ahead. We're put in a box that is created for us, and we lose all sense of purpose, where else, and we just exist. And it's I just wrote down a bunch of stats as well, or whatever else that I wanted to share. And I know that this kind of goes again or sideways. Anyway, the existence where else of taxpayers, we pay $124 billion yearly for us to exist. And many of us are happy just doing jobs. But there are many of us that want to do more than just fill a position that is put there because people feel that we can do that job. We want to do more than exist. And it's organizations like RISE that see us with our barriers and that seeks to understand our uniquenesses and lets us decide what we want to do and what we're capable of. And they provide us the assistance to be able to succeed.
James, thank you for that. I want to bring Kendra in. You are also an advocate, Kendra, for change. You want to change your story and allow people to see there's more than one way to practice law. There's more than one way to be successful at that career. And that it doesn't have to be at the expense of your mental health. So how has RISE helped to empower you not only to build a business, but also to be able to take control of your own well-being?
Yeah, to echo some of the things that both Tia and James had said, the system is not built for us, and we're put in a box. And oftentimes that box doesn't even get your basic needs. Like when COVID hit and people were losing their jobs and the government assistance for the normal person was handed out and everyone complained, that's not enough. Well, that was more than what any of us would receive from CPP, EI, any of the welfare systems, even if you qualified, and there's some here that don't. And so those systems aren't built for us. And so one of the barriers I faced the most was finances, because law firms are not cheap to start. And our licensing fees and our insurance are very expensive. And something as simple as CPP disability, not recognizing entrepreneurship as an option. You, as a recipient of CPP disability, if you gross $6,000 in a year, you're kicked out. Well, my licensing fees were 10. And so I didn't even break even before I was kicked out. And their vocational rehab program tried, and the guy I was working with tried so hard, but he was stuck in the system, a system that's not made to help us. And so RISE gave me that chance to have a little of that pressure relieved. And it's hard doing this job because when you're a sole practitioner, you have no one to lean on. You know, you don't have a big office you can go knock on someone's door and say, hey, I need help. And having that help takes one of the many things of our constant fights off our shoulders.
Thank you, Kendra. So then how has working with RISE helped you to build Wesco Food Society and balance running a business, being an entrepreneur, which comes with a lot of stress, with managing mental health and addictions challenges?
Yeah, so thank you for asking. You know, when you've been addicted to drugs for a long period of time, society kind of created a stigma for yourself. So you're kind of seen or labeled as somebody that is unreliable, you know, and there's not much opportunity to create a living that is normalized. Even years after you stop using and you become sober, society still sees you that way. And you know, being able to actively be involved in the business with giving an opportunity from Rise to create something that really matters to me is as in a way healed me, because it provided me a sense of comfort and entrepreneurship that really got my mind busy, and that's an important thing when you're sobering up, is to be active and busy. And these opportunities that Rise given me, other than training, is time, and be able to really accomplish my goals and see my goal in a perspective of an entrepreneur, which that training is not given. If you haven't went to studies in that field, it's something that you're not thinking, your brain is not adapting to it fast enough for the change to happen. So Rise allowed me to really adapt to what is an entrepreneur and what are the opportunities to build a business in my region. So I recommend Rise to anybody that has a plan or an idea in mind or is suffering from a disability or has difficulty obtaining it, because Rise is going to help you.
And I can't imagine, Sylvain, what that would alleviate in terms of knowing that I can be honest about where I'm struggling and what my struggle is, whether it is with mental health or with addiction, and say, I need you to still see me as an entrepreneur, but I also need help with this too. Oh yeah, and it creates a large, like from the coaches that trained me, a really huge empathy, and that was provided by this program. So my coach was, throughout the whole process, really empathetic to my inner struggle, my difficult times, so I'm super grateful for this, because it was life-changing. I want to bring in one of those mentors, and Glory. There's a lot of trust in that relationship. Not only are people trusting you with their passion and with their dreams, but they're trusting you with, the parts of their life that they're not open to sharing with everybody, or everybody has described here that the system doesn't really want to know about necessarily. How does mental health factor into your role as a mentor then?
Well, when you mentor people, you're mentoring the whole person. Entrepreneur is a description of what someone does. It's not who they are. And and the journey is long, and it's hard, and it's risky, and there's vulnerability involved, and it does an awful lot of this all the way along. There is a ton of reward with it, of course, as I think many people here will attest to. There's also a lot of risk, and there are a lot of downtimes. For me personally, I've bought and sold multiple businesses. Not every business was a success, and not every exit was good. And I too have struggled, through my entrepreneurial journey with mental health. So I have an awful lot of compassion and understanding of what that is all about. So I think when you enter into a mentor relationship with someone, yes, it's about the business, it's about what they want their success to be like, because everybody has a different definition of success. But it is mentoring the whole person, not just the actual activity of doing the business. And as we talked about last week, one of the things that I think is absolutely important, and I emphasize this with every client that I work with, whether it's through Rise or in my my private consulting business, either way, is that you absolutely have to celebrate every win. Sometimes they're few and far between. So celebrate your first customer, the first time you get paid, the first time somebody likes a social media post, the first time somebody recognizes you as your company. Whatever those things are, at the end of the day, pause, give yourself a pat on the back, give yourself a little celebration, and you come back the next day to do it all over again. So I think that to answer the question really, short, is that mental health piece is so much a part of what we as entrepreneurs have to deal with, in addition to being business owners and customers and marketers and sellers and all of those other things, that that part is integral to being successful in a mentoring relationship.
You mentioned that last week when we were having a conversation about celebrate everyone. I've since told that to everybody I talk to, and I have told it to my kids. I'm curious, and Lori Smith did some of that today when she was talking about celebrating some of the wins, talking about some of the numbers from this past year. Can you give us an example of how you would celebrate a win? Because celebration means different things to different people.
Oh, that's a great question. You know, it depends. Sometimes for me, just celebrating a win is taking maybe half a day away from my desk and going to walk on the beach or in a forest or somewhere where it's a little bit quiet and I can recoup my thoughts and bring my energy back. It may be that I'm, you know, out with my friends later than I normally am. I think that you can, you know, bring, you know, friends and family into the celebration. You know, maybe you get paid by your first client and you take a couple people out for dinner. You know, whatever that is for you, you know, bring people into the celebration with you, because those are your champions and your allies. And entrepreneurs need that in order to be successful. I know that that was a key to the success I've had, and I'm so grateful for that.
Well, we're so glad that you shared that with us too. I love that one. Tia, why is it important that organizations like Rise are intentional about supporting diverse and underserved individuals to become entrepreneurs? What does it mean for Canada and for our communities?
Well, we'll be bridging the gaps. There are huge gaps. And, you know, when we're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, you know, there's so many layers. It's intersectionalities right across the board. But when organizations start filling those gaps and plugging up the holes, it's a better ecosystem for all of us. The economic development grows. Since the pandemic, I read through the WEC research, Women's Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub, 28% of Black women have started businesses in Canada. 28% since the pandemic. Prior to that, they weren't doing it. So there is a need out there, but we need, as individuals from diverse backgrounds and communities, is organizations such as Rise to have our backs, to say, we're going to provide resources, we're going to provide you with capital, we're going to provide you with mentorship, and we're going to provide you with someone just to talk to get you through entrepreneurship. Because entrepreneurship is a lonely, lonely place. And as Glory said, celebrate your small wins. I've been saying that since 2015, because so many times enough, as women in general in business, the moment we celebrate or talk about what we've done, what we achieved, how much money we made, it's a problem. We're being boasty, we're showing off, we're not being humble as we've been taught. So, I mean, all that wrapped into one is that all organizations should do it to be a better benefit to the economic development within Canada, but actually just to be good organizations in general, to be good, inclusive organizations in general.
What does that mean?
Be more diverse and not just check the box. Be more about creating intentionality within your culture, where you're not just going to have one Black person, one Asian person, one immigrant working your place of business to check the box, but you're literally reaching out and doing community engagements in these same communities where you're being intentional about bringing those groups on board, bringing them in for the work, for the support. Don't just say you have a best friend that's from Asia, because that doesn't matter. We don't care about that. We don't want to hear about your best friend. We want to know what you're doing for us in the community today.
I think everybody, Tia, well said. And I think everybody here that has interacted with Rise, one of the things I appreciate about them the most, and I'll ask them some hard questions, is that they listen. And so if they hear something in a conversation, something like what James has shared or something that Tia has shared, they take note of it, and then they are, as you said, Tia, so well, they are very intentional of making that change, or of reaching out, or of connecting in a way that will meet their goal, which is helping entrepreneurs to rise. We have time for a final question, then maybe some questions from people that have joined us today virtually. James, Kendra, and Sylvan, and I'll ask in that order too. You have all come such a long way in recent years, and I hope you've celebrated all of your wins along the way. Personally and professionally, you have had those challenges, but you've also overcome them as well. And I'm going to start with you, James. What does it mean to be receiving your award today? And take some time. And unmute yourself.
I keep putting my screen down. Sorry. Yeah, to get this award, I'm quite honored and taken back in the sense that it's an opportunity to finally see rest. You know, it brings a pile of different emotions, and it means that I actually have survived to today. As a person facing barriers, it means that I've been supported, that I've been seen, and that out of a whole entire deserving group, where else I was picked to represent us. And I'm just totally taken emotionally, whatever. I don't even know what to say. I'm hoping that through this that I can continue. It's kind of sparked more of a desire and a drive or else to continue on. So it's not often that we get seen as that we're even seen as individuals, and it's so neat to be part of this. So yeah.
James, I think you said that beautifully. Thank you so much. Kendra, I'm going to bring you in next. What does it mean to be recognized for your resilience, for winning this award in the face of personal and professional adversity, and not only making it better for yourself, but better for other people too?
It's such an honor. And it was kind of funny when I got the email. I smiled and I laughed because during the last 5 years before I started my business, and they still say it today, every one of my friends would say, "Oh, you're so resilient." And I would look at them and say, "I am tired of being resilient. I'm exhausted. Can it just be easier?" And it's always a fight for us, and it probably always is going to be. And, you know, just as we're talking about celebrating wins, one of the things that was such a challenge for me was learning to accept help and to ask for help, because there were times that I had no other way. And, you know, thinking about celebrating those wins, like I would have people offer to take me out for dinner, and I was so proud. I'm like, I don't want other people paying for things. And now I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get going. Maybe I should start taking them back out too. But the message that I try to put forward to law students and other people and entrepreneurs is that it's okay to do it different. You know, when you're in law school, it's hard. It is okay to cry. It's okay to need and access mental health supports. It's okay to have someone to talk to. And this program with these great people gives you someone who shows you you're not alone. And it's just such a great feeling to be a part of that and to share that on, right? Because when you're young, when you're dealing with a problem, when you're dealing with mental health, or you're going through something hard, you feel so isolated. And it's really important to remember that you're not alone. And there are people like us here who want to help, and people like our great mentors to give us guidance.
Kendra, can you share maybe one example of when you reached out at a time maybe where you felt alone and where it really made a difference for you?
Oh, there's so many. I think the thing for me was really finding someone honest that I could work with. And that lawyer that I was working with, I could call her and say, "Hey, I am having a hard time today. I can't do the assignment that you gave me." And it was okay. You would never do that at a big law firm. You know, I remember even before my accident having a day where I had a breakdown because I got yelled at by about 20 different people. And every other, you know, mid-level lawyer came up to me and said, "Anyone would have broke in that spot. It's okay." You know, the boss, on the other hand, was one of the ones yelling at me. And you look at that process and I'm just like, why would I want to go back to a world like that when I can work with wonderful people who say, you know, let's take care of ourselves? And that passes on to what I do with my clients.
Yeah, I hear from both you and from James, just that removal of like shame or judgment allows you to connect with what it is that you actually want to do and accomplish and bring to our communities and to bring to entrepreneurship. Sylvain, I'm going to ask you last, what does it mean to receive the Bell Let's Talk Startup Award?
Thanks, Anne-Marie. Receiving the award, I didn't even know I was gonna receive an award until I was proven, you know, on the contrary, that it was actually something that was gonna happen. Because I thought,
I think it was fake at first.
Well, you know, being a business person and having my email kind of like open to the public, I've been receiving so many weird emails. So I thought that was one of them. So it took me a while to actually like believe it was true. And then I visited the website. And I'm like, oh, this is actually real. So I was super grateful. You know, it just, you know, it just means that, you know, I've been doing a really strong, powerful presence. You know, I've been achieving something successful in my time, and all the hard work has been paying off, and that people have been seeing it, and that's really admirable, and I'm really grateful for that. You know, receiving something like that changes my my mood by a lot, because you know, coming from where I'm from, it's like winning something it wasn't even something that I would ever consider. You know, I spent a lot of years living in the streets without having a home. You know, so creating this award and everything I went through to actually build a life for myself, and having a place that is actually mine now, that I can say, you know, I have an apartment in BC and I'm not living in the street anymore is really incredible. It's created, you know, I was saying last week, it's kind of winning like a Medal of Honor. You know, I'm not saying that I've been to war or anything, but you know, the inner struggle that I live it's similar. Like the feeling is similar, and you know, it's something I'm so thankful. I don't know. Thank Rise enough. You know, maybe in the future I'll celebrate one of my wins and invite everybody to have my food that I make, you know, and we can celebrate together. So
Sylvain, that's what that's my celebration mode of choice is food. So be careful what you wish for with that.
I make good one, so you'll be thankful.
Oh, I bet I will. To James and to Kendra and to Sylvain, congratulations to all of you again. I would like to remind you that you are seen, you are supported, and that you are celebrated. And thank you so much for being a part of not only reaching out to Rise, being part of today, and congratulations again. And to Tia and to Glory, thank you so much, not only for the work that you do with Rise, for the change that you are making and the change that you are bringing to our communities, but for the incredible dedication that you show all the time. This is why the discussion is my favorite part. I learned so much, and I hear from really amazing and inspiring people. Erin, I'm just taking a look at our time. Do we have a time to take a question from the audience, or do we need to wrap?
We have time to take a question from the audience if there's some.
Okay, great. And you can feel free to throw that into the chat. Lots of congratulations for people, which is great. I should mention, while we're waiting for a question, if you want to get in touch with any of our panelists, and I would encourage you to do so, you can go to the website, which is risehelps.ca. You'll find profiles on each of them, and there's also links to their website, so you can get in touch with one another. One of the great things that happened after our initial panel discussion is they all started getting in touch with one another, because they found so many synergies in their stories and ways to support each other. But I know that they would appreciate even just a shout out or a note from any of our participants today in our virtual celebration. Do we have any questions from our audience? I can tell this is a room of thinking people. There has to be some questions.
I saw that Dave had his hand up, Anne-Marie.
Oh, good. I'm glad you saw that, because I missed that. Dave, if you want to unmute and go ahead and ask a question or make a comment.
Not so much a question, but I wanted to give a shout out and congratulations on the vision of the Rotman family and the support that they have given this organization. They've been truly inspirational, and we can see in the words of the recipients and others here today what a great vision they had, and so I'd like to thank them for that. I think one of the important things to note, and it's coming out here today a little bit, that you know, we always have to look for the positive in things, and one of the things that came out of COVID is that it's okay to not be okay. It's all right to talk about having mental health challenges, and that was so hidden before, and people are now able to express themselves and say, yeah, I'm not doing great today, and that's okay. And like to, if I can do just little pitch on an organization that I was involved in helping create, getting a chance later to go on the websites of Stigma-Free Society, where we talk about awareness, understanding, and acceptance. And acceptance starts with ourselves. And I'm hearing that a lot from these entrepreneurs today, that they have accepted themselves, and that's really, really important. And the second group that we started is called Rural Mental Wellness. And won't go into great depth, but rural and agricultural communities, literally globally, and certainly here in Canada as well, have dramatically more serious issues around the topic of mental health and wellness, and they just don't have the resources. So it's something that I'd like people to be aware of, and there's a chance for them to do something for the community, for friends that live in rural environments, then please do. They need your help. And congratulations to the entire RISE team, and Ori in particular, become a dear friend. And I want to congratulate everybody in the RISE organization for the fantastic work.
Dave, thank you so much for your comments. It's so heartfelt and incredible that you've joined us today. Thank you so much. And you took the words a little bit out of my mouth, because I wanted to recognize that Sandra Rotman, RISE's founder, joined us sort of mid-event. And so delighted that that you're able to join us today, Sandy. The Rotman family started RISE about 13 years ago. We were Toronto based for a very long time, and as everyone can see today, we're very national, and BC is strongly representing today, boy. Good for BC, good for Dugan, everyone, all of our RISE community from BC. Anyway, I'd like to thank Sandy for joining us. And of course, I hope you feel nothing but pride at what we've become, what you've started, what we've become with your enduring support. So thank you so much for being here. I'm sorry, Anne-Marie, but impromptu. Back to you.
Listen, we are still on time. And I loved hearing that, Dave. Thank you so much for sharing, and for Lori for saying that too. And if we can, I know we've all been on mute now for a little minute, but can we unmute and give a big round of applause to the recipients of the 2023 Rotman Family Entrepreneurship Awards? It'd be nice to hear some clapping.
Woo!
Yay! Way to go, everybody.
Congratulations, everyone.
Congrats.
Now you get to put your mutes back
Congratulations.
on. All right, I'll get you put your mutes back on. Again, make sure that you connect with any of our panelists. They'd love to hear from you, and they would love for you to reach out to them as well. It's at risehelps.ca. Thank you for being part of the celebration. And if you feel inspired to do more, and we hope that you do, you can go to the RISE website. You can get involved as a client, as a volunteer, or even as a RISE donor. This is your organization. It wouldn't happen without all of your help. So thank you. We will see you for year number 6. Be well, everybody, and remember to celebrate your wins. Congratulations again.